Everyone, welcome to the January 2024 Twin Cities Immigration Forum, our first forum of the new year, and welcome. This monthly forum is co-hosted by the City of Minneapolis Immigrant and Refugee Affairs Office and the City of St. Paul Immigrant and Refugee Program, and we address topics of interest and concern to immigrant and refugee residents and individual and organizations that serve immigrant and refugee communities. This monthly series originated as a way to unpack federal immigration policies, programs, actions, and news. The forum has expanded beyond immigration updates to include discussions on a variety of topics touching Minnesota residents with community and government speakers and updates. I'm Edmundo Lee Hull, I'm an assistant city attorney, and I manage the immigrant and refugee program for the city. And I co-host this forum with my counterpart in Minneapolis, Michelle Rivero. Michelle?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Michelle Rivero. I'm the director of the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs to the City of Minneapolis, an office that is dedicated to assisting residents in achieving safety, dignity, and opportunity in the City of Minneapolis. Back to you, Edmundo.
Thanks. Today's agenda, we will go through a couple of events that are happening around Martin Luther King Day and talk a little bit about Human Trafficking Prevention Month. We'll then have some updates from the St. Paul libraries about welcoming points. Then we'll have some updates from the City of Minneapolis. We'll go through some immigration updates, some additional government and community updates, and then we'll welcome people to share and events and opportunities that they'd like to share with the forum. And then we'll wrap up by doing a sneak preview of what we're going to do in February for the forum in February. So welcome everyone. And with that, I'd like to talk a little bit about Martin Luther King Day. We are, most of us who celebrate Martin Luther King Day are committed to working towards a more just and equitable society and really look at the day, not necessarily as a holiday, but as a day of service. So in that vein, we'd like to really share some events that are taking place. There are many state-sponsored events taking place, including events at the careers in the state of Minnesota, and we'll post a link to that event for careers, the career events. There's a 38th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday celebration at the Ordway in St. Paul. There is an annual Martin Luther Day King Jr. celebration, One Dream, One Minnesota at Explore Minnesota, and we'll post a link to that as well. And then there's another link here, Michelle, from the, looks like State Office of Indian Affairs. Has an event going on for Martin Luther King Day as well.
Yeah, that was the link that I found for the state level programming at the Bureau of the Office of Indian Affairs. So just sharing that with folks in the chat too. Also wanted to share that January is also Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and there are many opportunities to learn about human trafficking and learn about human trafficking prevention. The Attorney General's office actually did a continuing legal education program that was multiple hour program. So maybe take it in bite-sized nuggets, and we'll share that link in the chat. There's also a lot of information available on the Advocates for Human Rights webpage on human trafficking, as well as the City of Minneapolis webpage on human trafficking. So invite folks to learn more about human trafficking prevention this month of January.
Thanks, Michelle. Next, we'd like to do a quick update from the St. Paul libraries around our Welcoming Points program. Sarah Gertis and Peter Redrut from the St. Paul libraries are here today. Hi, Sarah.
Hi there. And Peter is here as well.
Yep. Hello.
Hi, Peter. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. We'll quickly introduce ourselves, and then Peter will give an overview of what the welcome points are. So again, my name is Sarah Gertis. I serve as the Community Services Manager with the St. Paul Public Library, and I work with a team of 5 community specialists that work across our 14 libraries to engage underserved communities. So we've got Hmong community specialists, Black African American community specialists, Spanish-speaking community specialist, Ganya or Karen community specialist, and Somali community specialist. So they really engage those specific populations to find out what kind of programming and services they would like to see from the library system. They work almost like a social worker, I would say, doing a lot of one-on work and engagement with individuals from those specific communities. So that's a little bit about the work of the team that I work with. Peter?
Yes, thanks, Sarah. My name is Peter Rudrud, and I am the branch manager of the Arlington Hills Library on the east side of St. Paul. And I've been with the St. Paul Public Library for about 7 years, and only at Arlington since this past June. And so I'm working with some other branch managers, Sarah, and one of our community managers on this program, which right now we're calling Welcome Points. We found out that the city HR also uses Welcome as kind of a way to get citizens into the city services. So it's our working title. We might reconsider it later. But basically, we're partnering with the city's attorney's office to host resource tables for immigrants and refugees who are new to St. Paul. And these tables are serving as the welcome points to access information on legal resources, food and housing, family services, healthcare, and transportation. And they're located at 4 of our branches: my branch, Arlington Hills, Hayden Heights, Rondo, and Rice Street. We launched them in conjunction with our last participation in an immigration fair that happened in late November. And so far it's been, we've just been, we had a great training that Edmundo led that we're encouraging all staff to watch, and then we've just been gathering information and kind of building them. This past week was a great week for Arlington's table because we got some driver's manuals. We got some new legal information in Spanish language, and Sarah's hosting a citizenship class. Conversation circle and citizenship class at the Rondo Library. So we have those in 5 languages. So it's kind of relatively starting out slowly as kind of a passive table where patrons can enter the library and interact with what resources we have on the table. But our hope is to get some funding to expand it to be able to pay for stipends to have people come and table with it and to be there as resources, and also to conduct some more workshops. I know we're interested in doing some more citizenship and immigration fairs in 2024. I think the next one we have planned is in April. Is that right, Amundo?
Yes.
Yep. And it's going to be at the Hayden Heights branch. So yeah, we're building this, and we just started it recently. So it's we're giving it some time to settle. For me, it's been very gratifying to have this information out. I shared with Amundo at our last meeting. He gave us a great resource of immigration lawyers and resources, and I printed out 50 of them, and within a couple of weeks they're all taken. And so and I can just watch the interactions with this table and see that it's making an impact, and people are finding their way to it. So we want to grow in the awareness of it and expand on the resources available. And so I'm really pleased to be a part of this forum. I hope to attend monthly, just because you all are going to give me ideas for things that I can help promote on our welcome point table.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Sarah, so much for joining us today. And we did get one question in the chat, and I see, Sarah, you answered it. They asked for the libraries that are hosting. That was Arlington Hills, Hayden Heights, Rice Street, and Rondo libraries. So thank you very much for joining us today. Michelle? Oh, you're muted.
I would have thought I would learn by now, but apparently not. One quick question is if there is any information online, or if it would be useful to connect directly with you all, if you wouldn't mind sharing contact information or like where folks could get more information online or through connecting directly with you. Because I imagine that, you know, sometimes folks have questions that they think of right after the meeting's over. So, so that would be super if you could share.
I'll share my email, Michelle, and I also, we are actually we're working with Unmundo to think about building out a sort of an online presence for this project. So we have an immigration and refugee resource page within one of our subject pages within the library that has a lot of links for organizations that are, I'm sure, reflected in this meeting. But I'll give you, Sarah's giving us both of our contacts. Thanks, Sarah. So maybe Zenya's as well. But yeah, so you can reach out to any of us. We're happy to answer any questions. And again, hoping to and open to receiving materials from you as well that you would like us to offer on our tables.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Other questions that folks may have before we move on to have some Minneapolis focused updates we'd like to share. But any other questions for Sarah or for Peter?
You know, this doesn't have to do with the welcome points, but I do want to just say many of you probably on this call know Adriana Galvan, who works as the Spanish speaking community specialist. She just received word today that she received a national award from Co-op, the Coalition for Adult Basic Education, for Teacher of the Year. So she will be traveling to Tennessee in March to accept that award. So I just wanted to throw that out to this group. I'm sure there'll be more formal press release and whatnot, but since many of you probably know her, just wanted to let you guys know.
That's awesome.
That's incredible recognition. Thanks so much for sharing it. Adriana is such a champion, such an amazing, amazing person who wears so many hats and does so much good that impacts so many people. So very glad to see that she's receiving this recognition. Really appreciate you sharing that with this
Thank
group.
you, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah. Well deserved.
That's all from us.
Oh, sure.
Thank you. So transitioning to Minneapolis, first I'd like to invite Zainab Meyer to introduce herself to the group. She's a colleague here within the Neighborhood and Community Relations Department where OIRA is located. So Zainab, if you're ready, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, thank you, Michelle. I just dropped my computer like a minute ago, so can you guys hear me okay? I'm
Yes.
assuming yes. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Michelle, for the invitation. My name is Zainab Meyer, and I work for the City of Minneapolis. I am the East African Community Specialist with the Neighborhood and Community Relations Department, same department as Michelle. We are about an 8-minute walk from City Hall, located in the Crown Roller Mill building. My personal background, I, of course, identify as East African, specifically Somalia. I was born in Somalia. Did a quick stint in Kenya and spent most of my early childhood years in the Middle East. Next week will actually mark 20 years since my family and I immigrated to the States. But professionally, my background is in immigration, refugee resettlement, and mental health. Also the intersectionality of mental health and immigration. And I started with the City of Minneapolis 4 months ago, about 4.5 months ago. So I still feel pretty brand new. And I joined a team of 6 other cultural specialists. We have cultural specialists for the Southeast Asian community, Latino community, African American, Native American, the aging population, and people with disabilities, and me, the East African community. Our role as a team is to connect our respective communities with the city of Minneapolis and the city with the community. So in a typical day, we will meet with other city employees or departments who reach out and have specific engagement opportunities in mind. And we essentially consult with them on how to best engage our communities. But what we really want is for our communities to be visible in our work at the city level and be connected to all resources available to them. One of the biggest ways we do that is through our cultural media shows. The other 4 cultural specialists have radio shows in language. We contract with already existing radio stations for discussions about important programs and services at the city. While everyone else has radio shows, I have 2 TV shows. So I host a Somali TV show and I assist with the Oromo show since I don't speak Afan Oromo. And I guess I should have explained East African. I can technically serve all of East Africa, but specifically the ones I focus on is the Somali community, the Oromo community, the Ethiopian community, and the Eritrean community, because those are the communities that we see a lot here in Minneapolis. So for example, today we were actually recording the Oromo show and we had a guest from the city's civil rights department come and talk about source of income discrimination and resources available to folks in that regards. So we do informational sessions, discussions where we can connect with directly with the communities that we serve. Another thing that we do is called Community Connections Learning Lab series. This is a series that typically takes place around the fall, winter. We just did one. It's essentially several 90-minute labs where each of us talk about the history of our communities and how to effectively engage each of those communities we serve. And those are typically open to everybody. But this was just an introduction to myself. I don't want to get too in the weeds about it. So basically, my main role is to connect the East African community of Minneapolis with their city and make sure that the city's engagement with the community is equitable and beneficial to the community, especially the communities that I serve. I will also put my contact information in the chat if anybody has any questions or wants to reach out. But yeah, that's it for me.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Zainab. We're so grateful that Zainab works for the City of Minneapolis, and I'm especially grateful that she's a colleague within the NCR department. If folks have questions for Zainab, we'll just hold us a little bit of time for questions, and certainly feel free to connect with Zainab offline. I know, Zainab, you're putting your contact information in the chat. So just hold on for a quick second in case it looks like somebody's lighting up, but I'm not sure whether that's background noise or a question. So if you have a question for Zainab, please feel free to go ahead and ask or put it in the chat. Okay, well, thank you for that comprehensive overview on the work that you do, Zainab, and thank you very much for joining the Twin Cities Immigration Forum. We have another speaker from the Neighborhood and Community Relations Department coming on, Tate Wynn. So I'll turn the mic over to you, Tate, to discuss Partnership Engagement Fund.
Thank you, Michelle. Hello, everybody. My name is Tate. As Michelle referenced, I work for the Department of Neighborhood and Community Relations at the City of Minneapolis as well. I am a neighborhood support specialist at the City of Minneapolis. So there are 70 neighborhood organizations that the city has funded over the last 30 years. So my role, along with my other colleagues who work on the neighborhood side of NCR, support our neighborhood organizations with programming and manage the contracts that the city has with these organizations. I am coming on here today to share an exciting opportunity for organizations and individuals who are interested in receiving a contract opportunity with the city. The contract opportunity is known as the Partnership Engagement Fund. The Partnership Engagement Fund is in its 3rd year of programming, where we offer grants or contract opportunities to organizations to bring diverse voices into policy and decision making in a meaningful and effective way. Our intent with this grant is that we support partnerships between community-based organizations and individuals doing work in community and connecting them to neighborhood organizations that do programming in the city to bring residents into decision-making in a meaningful way. The Partnership Engagement Fund has funded a ton of amazing organizations and projects over the last 3 years. Some examples include community gardens, job training programs, civic engagement programs that are in language. So we successfully funded an organization doing work with civic engagement with Hmong elders. We also have funded a community-based organization doing work with providing education in the Spanish language with first on the scene, emergency preparedness, first aid training. We've also funded a community based organization to provide education in Spanish about the driver licenses process, with driver licenses for all being passed last year. These are all just a few examples of projects that we have funded in the past. And really our intent with the grant is to support organizations doing equity work and really uplifting what the community says that they need to thrive. This year we have $25,000 available for contract opportunity. So what that means is that you can apply up to $25,000, and we have $1 million available in our pool of funds to distribute to organizations. So we anticipate on funding approximately 40 projects this year. Applications are currently open, where applications will be open until March 3rd. In order to receive the full application, you will have to submit a required interest form. This interest form is similar to a letter of intent, where you would provide your contact information to Partnership Engagement Fund staff, and our intent of having this letter of interest being required is that it puts you on our radar, so that we can be proactive in reaching out to you about supporting you through as you apply for the program.
Dishwasher, there's not a whole lot in there.
Oh,
And
hi.
then-
I don't know. Just one second. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I hear a little bit of background noise. So if you're not muted and you're not Tate, if you wouldn't mind muting yourself, that would be super awesome. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Tate.
Yeah, no problem. So that letter of interest or that contact information is due on February 19th. So applications have been open, and I just dropped the link in the chat for folks to be able to access the website, and we encourage anyone to apply. If you are applying as an organization, you will have to have an annual budget of $300,000 or less. We do give priority to organizations that have an annual budget of $150,000 or less. The reason why we give priority to organizations making $150,000 or less is that we really want to support small organizations who may have not received funding before, and this is a one-time funding opportunity for folks to be able to apply for. I want to just quickly spend a couple of seconds just sharing the Partnership Engagement Fund website, as this letter of interest is located on our website. This is a really awesome picture of that emergency preparedness training that I mentioned that was being provided in Spanish, where they're helping participants learn first on scene training, and they become certified by the end of the program. The Partnership Engagement Fund letter of interest is available in 4 different languages, because we want this to be as accessible to community as possible. We have the interest form available in Spanish, Somali, and Hmong. And this is that letter of interest that I indicated. The only thing that is required to submit on this interest form is an email and a phone number, but folks are able to describe a little bit about their organization in their contact name, about a little description about their project, as well as getting more into just ensuring that you are eligible to apply. So yes, that is a little bit about the Partnership Engagement Fund. I appreciate the time and being able to present to all of you, and I can answer any questions if we have any time. Otherwise, if you would like to connect offline, I will drop the chat for the Partnership Engagement Fund staff, where myself and my other colleague, Araya, who manages the Partnership Engagement Fund, check on a daily basis.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Tate. Really appreciate you hopping on and sharing this comprehensive and succinct overview of the Partnership Engagement Fund. If folks have questions for Tate, please feel free to put them in the chat or ask out loud. Or if you think of questions later, don't hesitate to reach out to the email address that Tate has listed. And I know the website has a great deal of wonderful and very helpful information. Thanks for walking us through that. There is one last city-focused update that I wanted to share, and like maybe a little bit of a personalized ask too. And so I'll share my screen also so that you all are able to see the website for the Community Connections Conference. And it may take me like a second longer than it took Tate to pull it up. But the Community Connections Conference is an annual event hosted by the city to bring the city to community and community to the city. It's an opportunity to connect with city staff in a variety of different departments and learn about what different city departments do, and also an opportunity to connect with a variety of different organizations, including neighborhood organizations. It's an all-day program. There is free food provided. There are performers and a variety of different exhibits and opportunities to learn. The Community Connections Conference also works to be as accessible an event as possible. That includes having interpretation support throughout the event. I wanted to share that I am the volunteer lead for the Community Connections Conference this year. And so really invite folks to volunteer if you're interested in participating in the conference. In this way, there are a variety of volunteer opportunities, from helping with registration to assisting with food and everything in between. And I'm happy to share more information about the volunteer opportunities at the conference. And so I'm sharing a link in the chat. There is a volunteer page in this link. And while I am doing my best to pull up the screen, for some reason, I'm not able to do it right now. So invite people to explore the website on your own. If you have questions that I can answer, invite people to reach out to me, and I'll just put my contact information in the chat right now. If folks speak multiple languages or more than one language, that's awesome too. You can identify your language ability and your area of interest, block of time that you are interested in volunteering, and what area you may be interested in volunteering. And really appreciate the shout out from Fatuma. I appreciate that you signed up, and invite people to check out the page. You can also register for a table if you like. Registration for tables closes on the 15th, so that's around the corner at midnight, and learn much more about the conference at the website. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm putting my contact information in the chat, and also happy to answer questions that people may have right now. All right, not seeing questions, so Edmundo, turn it back to you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for that update as well. And please volunteer. It's a great event. Having been there last year, it's an opportunity to get a lot of information and share a lot with the residents of Minneapolis and beyond. Okay. Quickly, we'll jump to immigration updates. Most of the updates today are we're going to be talking about the budget in Congress. You've been hearing a lot in the news about debates in Congress over immigration. In October, President Biden proposed a $106 billion spending package, requesting military funding for Ukraine and Israel and additional national security priorities. Voting on this funding is being held up by members of Congress. who are also advancing measures restricting immigration and impacting border policies. Some of the immigration policies that the Senate is looking to address include expanding expedited removal beyond the current 100-mile limit on the southwest border. Currently, if someone is apprehended without documents within 100 miles of the U.S. border, the U.S. government has the authority to place them in expedited removal and basically can remove them from the United States fairly quickly. This new restriction would potentially expand that expedited removal authority to the entire United States. So that is one of the restrictions that the Senate is looking to impose on immigration policy. Also, they're looking to expand mandatory detention, where immigration enforcement agencies can detain certain categories of asylum seekers. They're looking to bring back the Title 42 style expulsion of asylum seekers, preventing asylum seekers from physically entering the United States. Michelle, did you want to add some things to this discussion?
Yep, and as we're talking through these, Edmundo and I wanted to ensure that folks have a general understanding of the potential immigration impacts. I've also shared in the chat an AP article that came out in December that also walks through some of these proposed changes that include preventing the executive branch from being able to utilize humanitarian parole. As many of us have seen, the administration has been using humanitarian parole as a way to enable folks to come to the United States in a more rapid method than would otherwise be possible. Also, restricting access to asylum is another proposed change. Also, sending individuals to contiguous countries while they're awaiting immigration proceedings. And again, more information about some of these proposed changes can be found in the article, the AP article that's in the chat. Individuals who have an opinion around this topic are welcome to connect with their congressional representatives if they're interested in expressing their opinion. There are a number of local organizations that work in the area of immigration that are also great points of contact to learn more. So again, we just wanted to make sure to share, as this topic has been in the news, so that people understand, have some context around the discussions and what proposals are being made. Another update that we wanted to make sure to share, and this was in a recent New York Times article, is increase of migration of individuals from African nations at the southern border. There are some nationalities that were specifically highlighted, including Senegal. So for fiscal year 2023, which ended on September 30th, 2023, the number of folks from Senegal is about 15,000, and there were some other countries highlighted. And so we'll also share that article in the chat, but just something to be aware of in the event that folks are working with individuals who are recent arrivals from the United States, that there may be an increasing number of folks from African countries, including West African countries. And let's see, with that, perhaps we can turn to additional governmental and community updates. So I know we've got a couple of folks on. Let's see, I know Kelly's here because I saw you. So maybe if you'd like to kick us off with other governmental and community updates, to be happy to turn over the mic to you.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, y'all. So I'm Kelly Schmitz. I am with the Minnesota Department of Human Services, specifically within the Resettlement Programs team, and my role is a Resettlement and Complementary Pathways Specialist. And tonight here, I'm here to talk about, some of you might have heard in the other Welcoming Twin Cities meeting, but the state and the Department of Human Services is looking to convene a work group around shelter alternatives, and this is really to learn from community members on what are current initiatives occurring within Minnesota Twin Cities Metro, Greater Minnesota around shelter alternatives, what's working, what could be potentially scaled up, and also to learn what's maybe not working, especially given the current context of increased arrivals from the southern border, which Michelle just referenced as well. And feedback from this group will be used to guide some strategic investments. So we really do want to hear from you. We really do want to hear what the community proposes as a solution, and recognizing that we can't fill all the gaps, but what we can do. So if you would like to join this meeting, please do reach out to myself. I'll put my email address in the chat. It's also going to be convened alongside my colleague Sam Abaya, so I'll put her email in the chat as well. And we're looking to have the first meeting January 30th in the afternoon, and then it'll meet 3 times after that. So it'd be a commitment of 1 time per week for 3 weeks. But if you can just join one meeting too, that's also perfectly fine. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank
Thank you.
you. That's wonderful.
Any
Edmundo,
questions
do you
for
want to
Kelly?
share? Oh, go ahead.
Any questions for Kelly about the meeting?
Thanks for sharing the context, Kelly. Appreciate that. Appreciate you being on. Thank you. Edmundo, do we want to share that update regarding the Office of New Americans and the job opportunity?
Sure.
Wonderful. So we're able to connect with Office of New Americans Assistant Commissioner within the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development earlier this week. And he shared a job opportunity that we indicated we would share here today for a program manager within the Office of New Americans. So that opportunity closes soon. I am going to put the link into the chat. The closing date is January 16th. That's right. So closing date is very soon. So invite folks to check it out and pull the link from the chat. It looks a little long and clunky. But closing date again for this position is January 16th. Working within the Office of New Americans with Assistant Commissioner Abdiwahab Mohammed within the Department of Employment and Economic Development. We also wanted to share there are always city job opportunities, including with City of Minneapolis and City of St. Paul. So we're also sharing links here for the web pages for City of Minneapolis and City of St. Paul job opportunities, and invite folks to check those out and to reach out in case you are interested in learning more, including identifying points of contact to learn more about some of these employment opportunities.
Right, and I would just add that there are several job openings at the city attorney's office in St. Paul. So take a look at those on the link, and if you're interested, happy to talk to you about them. Just reach out.
So are there community updates? Are there things that you all would like to share with the group? Opportunities that you may want to put in the chat and have us read out, or things that you actually want to share? You want to make sure that this is a space that is useful for you all in terms of communicating information on programs and projects that you are working on. And I'm seeing a message from Jenny Stoll-Powell. And Jenny, if you're on and would like to read this out, I think it's very important to have this information shared frequently and often. And then go ahead. There you go. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I posted in the chat a link to a YouTube video. It's a recording of a Facebook Live session that our office held on December 12th about Minnesota's new marijuana law. And I'd encourage you to watch it, share it widely. And if you're not familiar, while marijuana is now legal in Minnesota, if you are not a U.S. citizen, Please tell people that they should not be using marijuana, selling it, possessing it, because it can still be a problem for immigration law, which is federal law. So we really want to make sure we get that message out there that just because it's legal here doesn't mean that everyone should use it, and people who are not a citizen should not. So please watch the Facebook Live session for more information. And this is also on our website. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jenny. Jenny, hi. I have, it's Edmundo. I have one question. Do you know if the video or any of the messaging, if you have any plans to do it in other languages? Because I did actually get a request if there was anything available in Korean around this message.
I am not aware, but I can definitely go back to our communications folks and ask about that. Yeah.
That'd be
So
great.
do you mean like having another Facebook Live with interpreters or written materials, or both?
I think the folks I talked to were just really appreciative of the message, but but they said if we could get it in Korean, because a lot of the younger Korean folk don't speak English, so if they could get the message in Korean and other languages, and not necessarily the whole program, but maybe just I know you guys have done some shorter messaging, would even be helpful.
Yeah, and I believe on our website you can also see the kind of the graphic, which I think hopefully goes across language. It's just the kind of the marijuana symbol with the big red slash, like no. So feel free to also grab that and use it.
Great.
That's helpful. Thank you. And
Thank you.
One thing I remember beforehand, like before this event took place, talking with folks about actually having watch parties. Like I know that the information session itself was in English, but like watch parties within different cultural communities, so the message could be communicated live, like in real time in other languages. And so thinking about different strategies for community members to learn about this important information so that they can take action or not take action accordingly. Certainly eager to brainstorm on additional ways to ensure that this information is accessible to all. So thank you. And thank you to ILCM for doing this important public service. Let's see, other community updates. Are there other things that folks may want to share with the group, or that you may want to put in the chat or alert people to, things that may be taking place, that you may be hosting, topics that you think are important to bring to this space? We'll just give a few, I don't know, seconds in case someone raises their hand or put something in the chat. Otherwise, we do have a couple of closing messages that we'd like to share with the group. All right, y'all, if you change your mind, there's more time. But we also wanted to share some information about welcoming spaces. Edmundo, the St. Paul Immigrant and Refugee Program, the Minneapolis Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs co-facilitate, along with support from state of Minnesota, a welcoming Twin Cities meeting that takes place usually every couple of weeks. Our next meeting is on January 24th, and a focus of that meeting will be legal services and access to immigration legal services. So invite folks to join, and that meeting is focused on addressing needs and supports within newcomers, so new to US, new to Minnesota communities. I also wanted to share from the standpoint of the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs Minneapolis hosts community hours, providing basic information, orientation information, access to legal services, and other supports weekly in community. The next meeting is, or the next office hours will be next Wednesday, and that is at the Career Force Center at 777 East Lake Street from 2 to 5 p.m. These two events and more are on the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs calendar of events, which I will put in the chat. in one quick moment. And I'll turn it over to you, Edmundo, if there are any last items or things that I missed.
No last items, unless anyone else would like to mention an event or bring additional topics up. This is a good opportunity to do so, and we'll give everybody a minute. Otherwise, our next Twin Cities Forum is going to be on Thursday, February 8th at 4:30. As always, we encourage people to contact us if you have ideas for topics or agenda items that you would like for us to address. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Michelle or I and bring forth your ideas, and we'll try to get them on the forum.
Yeah, and February's forum will be focused on workforce development related issues. So if you are interested in contributing, have some information to share around that theme, please do reach out to Edmundo and myself in advance of the meeting, so that we can include information that you'd like to share in February's forum. So thank you all very much. We appreciate your participation and your attendance. As we indicated, a recording of today's Twin Cities Immigration Forum should be available within a few days on the OIRA webpage, and we'll also send out a link to folks who have this forum on their calendars. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a wonderful evening.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Thank you.